Okay, everybody, buckle your seatbelts because the Michael Finkley Show has a brand new home.
The Michael Finkley Show is now a part of the Greater Works Network on Roku TV. To watch, add the Greater Works Network channel to your Roku TV. Congratulations, Finkley!
Celebrating Black male educators.
We have Dr. Rashad Anderson and Dr. Anthony Broughton.
The first focus is brotherhood, brother's keeper. And so I think that's why it's effective.
The turnaround principal himself, Dr. Gemar Mills.
Wow, see, that's a good question because I don't know that I've ever answered this question for anybody because no one ever asked.
Coming up.
Just to make it, just to make it, just to make it. I've been working all my life just to make it, just to make it.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Michael Finkley Show. I'm Michael Finkley. Today is Wednesday, January 27th, 2021, middle of the week. Oh, y'all, yeah, I'm almost there, so just hold out. A few more days, y'all. Hold out. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel, Michael Finkley Show. Ring that bell notification, and we'll see an email saying new content's uploaded. Thank you so much to our subscribers, our viewers, our future subscribers. We are the Michael Finkley Show, where we're here to inform, educate, and inspire you. We're bringing you shows that you need to hear and you want to hear. Thank you so much for watching. So I was pondering these thoughts for the past few days, and I am literally living in my dream. I remember Oprah Winfrey saying years ago, she says that God can dream a bigger dream than you can. So what's your next dream? And so I feel like those are the next stages in my life that I'm working towards, that next big dream. I've always wanted my own platform to encourage persons, to inspire, and to inform. And so here it is. I'm living in my dream, and I'm just enjoying this awesome ride, meeting some awesome people, connect with some fantastic individuals. It has been an amazing journey, and I'm just getting started. So I'm living in my dream. And so I definitely feel that this is a part of that passion, that call to life that we're looking for in life. And so my thing to ask you is that, what are you passionate about? Are you living in your dream? What is your dream? How can we discover your dream? You know, so let's get to work. It is 2021. 2020 has taught us that there are no guarantees in life, and life is too short. So let's enjoy every moment now. Let's live in the now, because we never know. Even the Bible states not to worry about tomorrow. So let's look at the now, enjoy the now, in order for us to feel the bigger picture in life. Come on, let's go. I'm excited about this awesome show because, as you know, I have the Finkley Experience, which is an educational consulting firm. We specialize in assisting first-generation students with the process of college. But other than that as well, I have been in secondary ed and higher education for the past 10 years. I love education. I'm a big component for it. And so I am privileged to interview these awesome three doctors of education, Dr. Mills, Dr. Anderson, and Dr. Broughton. They have unique stories. They have a tale to tell, and you get to watch it next. We'll be right back.
Coming up, we have Dr. Anderson and Dr. Broughton. We'll be right back.
On the next Michael Finkley,
we have Coach Eddie and Alan Caballero.
Looking for a mentoring program for your young male between the age of 6 and 18 in Columbia, South Carolina? Well, look no further. Big Homie, Little Homie Mentoring Program is the program for you.
Under the leadership of Mr. Jamal Stroud, Big Homie Little Homie is a 501c3 nonprofit organization that caters and mentors at-risk youth that come from single-parent homes. The organization caters to young males between the ages of 6 and 18 within the greater Columbia area. The organization is devoted to shaping and molding their life into great men of society. Big Homie Little Homie organizes male gatherings, discussions, and even educational assistance devoted to guiding and leading them into a positive light. Making a positive attitude will help in transforming a life regardless of what is experienced in life. For more information on Big Homie Little Homie Mentoring Program, visit our social media outlets, Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter.
Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Michael Finkley Show. We are celebrating Black educators on this segment, and I am excited to have these two individuals with us on today. I can say that they are the best in what they do, and I tell you, they are my dear fraternity brothers. So introducing Dr. Rashad Anderson of South Carolina State University, and also Dr. Anthony Broughton, who is at Clafton University. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Glad to be here, sir.
Glad to be here.
Awesomeness. And so, Dr. Broughton, when choosing a career, why did education stand out to you?
I really witnessed transformation in the classrooms of Black male educators. My first male educator was Joseph Brown. He was my music teacher in elementary school. And then when I got to middle school and high school, I had Mr. Matt Geis, who appointed me drum major. And through my drum major experience, I learned that I had teaching skills, trying to support all the different sections in playing their instruments. And he really pulled my potential out. And I really was inspired by what he was able to do with my gifts in ways that others weren't able to do it. And he really confirmed that education was the field for me, because I had already known that educators could make a transformative impact on the world. I have educators in my family, Judy Broughton, Viola Weldon, who have a legacy of excellence in education. So I knew that education was an awesome field, but to have been impacted by two Black male educators in music really transformed my life, and I wanted to be a part of that movement. And I saw, and I still see education as a form of activism, changing the world and transforming students in the process while we are transforming ourselves.
Yeah, I love that. Transformation. That's what it's all about in this field,
Yes.
Transformation. Dr. Anderson, what about you?
I had similar background into coming into education as well. Mine also happened to be inspired through music. It was early in middle school, and joining band and then chorus, and realizing that you could have a career in teaching kids music was fascinating to me. And I think that education is a calling. By high school, just like how you have ministers who are called to the pulpit, I just had a spiritual calling to be in the classroom. I think that everybody have gifts and talents, and my gifts and talents that were naturally inside of me all were inclined to become an educator. I think what sealed the deal for me was teacher cadet in high school. I was paired with Mr. Eric Lewis at a middle school, and he was one of the first graduates from Claflin University in the Call Me Mr. program. And that's how I got introduced to Call Me Mr. Witnessing his classroom and seeing somebody that looks like me, that brings the same type of energy and vibe into the classroom, who also was highly effective, was amazing for me to see. And that sealed the deal. I wanted to be a teacher ever since then.
Yeah, I love that, because I had that same experience. My first Black and only Black male educator in grade school was in the 8th grade. And right then and there, I knew that I wanted to be in education, because I saw how he was just making a difference. And he had made a difference in my life as well, educationally, because my grades went up in his class. I saw someone that looked like me. And so you mentioned Call Me Mr.
All right, Call Me Mister is a great incentive, and its goal is to increase the pool of available teachers from a broader, more diverse background. And among those states that, those schools that are not performing as well, especially those elementary schools. And so, when you Call Me Mister, how are each of you involved in this process, Dr. Anderson?
So we both have the same role, I guess, in Call Me Mister. We are both in Call Me Mister. We grew up in it. Me at South Carolina State and Broughton at Benedict College. Graduated, taught in the classroom, went to school, got a few degrees, returned back into higher education, and now we both lead Call Me Mister cohorts on our respective campus. So we are literally separated by a fence. And so we have had the opportunity for a few years now to help shape the next generation of misters that are getting ready to hit the classroom. I often say that misters are what we call agitators and revolutionary educators. And when I say agitators, that doesn't necessarily mean a bad thing, but we do know that the way that South Carolina education system has been for the past 20 years has been not good for Black and brown kids. And so we need folks that are ready to go into the system and challenge the status quo, to agitate the system in a good way, to bring about change so that all kids can have an equitable experience.
Yeah.
And so that means that our guys cannot just go into the classroom and just be average teachers. We need our guys to be revolutionary educators.
Yeah.
And so that is a difficult task, because when they arrive to us, they don't always come to us prepackaged as teachers. They come from backgrounds and neighborhood and experiences that most people will look and say, there's no way that you can make a teacher out of that. But we see those qualities that other people overlook.
Yeah.
And then within the next 4 years is chipping away and helping them blossom into this revolutionary type educator that's ready to go out into the classroom and make a change. So for my half, that's kind of what Call Me Mister and my capacity that I do now.
I love that. And I was so upset when I was an undergrad. I really wanted to major in education and become a mister, but the school I went to did not have it at the time. And so I had to do the alternative route. So, Dr. Broughton, do you know that this initiative is still effective? We're sitting on Ellen and we're sitting on Oprah. Is it still effective present day?
Oh, most certainly, it's still effective and it's still needed. Oftentimes people see these programs as, race based. We need more Black men. We need more Black and brown men, but all skin folk and kinfolk. Hello, it's not only just about the color of your skin. You need to have the critical consciousness, and that's one thing that makes Call Me Mister distinct, is that we focus on identity development. We focus on critical consciousness because you do need that level of thinking, that paradigm to draw from to be effective in the classroom. I echo everything my brother just said. We have to cultivate the gifts within individual misters. We are all not the same. There's not a cookie cutter approach to Call Me Mister. So we really inspire our misters to be themselves, to be transparent, to cultivate who they are, because each person has a gift within them. And we as educators, we really strive to draw that potential out of them. So it's effective because we focus on the individual, we focus on the critical consciousness, we focus on the cultural competence, we focus on the development of the person, we focus on brotherhood. That is the one thing that is transformative about Call Me Mister, is the brotherhood that cannot be described, that cannot be evaluated or measured. I can call Brother Anderson instantly and get access to whatever I need. Yeah. And that's what we cultivate. In our cohorts, the first focus is brotherhood, brother's keeper. And so I think that's why it's effective, because it's not only just about cultivating, producing these people to go into the classroom, but we're talking about, as my brother said, revolutionaries. And in order to be a revolutionary, you have to have the mindset and the paradigms, the right ones, to draw from. If not, you'll be perpetuating the normativity that is occurring in a white female dominated field.
Yeah, I like that. Yeah. And everywhere I go, if I run into someone that was in the Call Me Mr. program at their institution, they proudly say, I am a Mr. And I see how much of a difference they're making within their school systems in which they are employed. So, Dr. Anderson, do Black male educators, whether it's public school or higher education, do they still matter? Does that representation still matter?
It does, and what's so interesting about it is that it's a challenge for Black males to be represented, not only in the classroom but also in higher education. There are significant challenges. I can speak in terms of being the only Black male at my elementary school that has ever been employed there as a teacher and not as a janitor in the entire existence that the school had been built. And we're talking about a school that had foundation was built over 80 years ago and was the first Black male teacher ever. And then you go into higher education. Of course, we're at HBCUs where, Black males are more populous. But if we look at the broader context of higher education and PWIs, it is a challenge for a Black male, particularly a young Black male, to even get an interview to some of these institutions because there's so many barriers. I often say that the school system is a microcosm of society. The same type of barriers and systematic racism and oppression that you see happening in society also reflects itself in the school systems as well, and often in higher education. But we do matter, and I will toss it to Dr. Broughton to elaborate on why we matter so much.
Yeah, when I heard that question, what popped up is matter to whom? Black male educators matter to us, but
Right.
it's obviously not. It is obvious that we don't matter to the world. How our skin colors weaponized against us. Black boys are suspended, or Black children in general are suspended at crazy rates in the United States of America. And Black males bring a perspective to the classroom that is distinct from the female-dominated field. We matter because we live and breathe as Black men daily, and our Black boys need to see that. Our Black females, all children need to see it. No matter the color of their skin, they need to be exposed to Black men because we are so stereotyped in society. You see a Black man walking in a hoodie, people perceive that as a thug, a gangster, a killer. But they don't perceive people who are bombarding the Capitol as such. Hello? That's problematic. And so we matter to whom? And if we matter, there wouldn't be so many barriers for us to get in the classroom. There's so many stereotypical, narrowly defined constructions of what assessment looks like. And so we have assessment barriers, praxis core, PLT, all those barriers are put in place to eliminate minoritized people from getting into the system. We have this whole notion, we should teach according to the multiple learning styles. Why don't we assess according to the multiple learning styles? That's anxiety, we know it's real.
Yeah, very much so.
We know where standardized tests originated from, but we won't have those conversations. So yes, we matter, and if we did, then why are there so many barriers?
Yeah.
When people with power in education want something to happen, they make it happen, period. Common Core, it happens. Whatever they want to happen, it happens. So if you really want Black males or Black and brown male teachers in the classroom, it's simple. Make it happen.
Make it happen.
I want to elaborate off something Broughton said. One thing that a lot of people don't realize when it comes into education is that when we talk about we want more Blacks just in general in the classroom, ETS published a study a few years ago, and the findings is that Blacks fail those praxis licensure tests at 4 times the rate of their white peers. And the percentage of times that when we look at like white males and white females that take the praxis, they have over a 70% pass rate compared to Blacks who have just really under a 30% pass rate. Why is that? There has to be something going on. And then we realize that our school districts are not even teaching the content that's necessary to even pass praxis core. We don't even have access to it in K-12. And so when they get to higher ed, what is supposed to be a test of just skills that they already learned, we're finding, no, these are new skills that we have to teach. And it goes again to show how education is just this microcosm of society. There are intentional and unintentional barriers that replicate themselves to where you do not see a large percentage of African Americans in the field. It's not that we are inferior, we're less intelligent and less capable, but we got to look at if Black people fail a test 4 times the rate of whites, and we reject these notions that Blacks are not inherently less intelligent, or those more eugenics-based type discussions than white people, then we really need to look at our tests. Are our tests culturally biased in such a way? So, food for thought.
That is food for thought. And so going forward, all these different things that are out there that they're somewhat hindrance at times for the future. Dr. Anderson, we'll start with you. Where do you see Black male educators?
I'm hoping, I see Common Mr. Now has celebrated 20 years on last year. And I am starting to see similar initiatives pop up from across the nation, and Black Men Teacher or whatnot. I see that we are in a different age. I think the George Floyd murder of last year has made the world, and in particular a lot of people in the United States, wake up to racism that has been embedded within our society for a long time. And the right people are starting to look and pay attention. I believe that we are on the precipice of some major reforms in terms of race, which will certainly have implications for Black male educators in the classroom. I would say 10 years by now, I feel pretty confident that we are on the road to see maybe a doubling of Black males in the classroom. That's what I hope, certainly by the indications. It is refreshing to be able to even go on TV and listen to major networks even say that had it been Black and brown people that was at the Capitol when it was an attempted insurrection, that we would not have made it that far. Just by that mentioning by major networks lets us know that people are starting to see the differences in racism, and hopefully that is starting to catch and that something is done about it. I think we're at a turning point, just like how in the civil rights movement, when people saw in Alabama when they were trying to cross the bridge and the brutality that those white police officers did to all of those protesters there, and it showed people the ugliness of racism in America, things started to change. I believe that we are in a new civil rights movement in our 21st society, and things are going to start to change fairly soon.
Oh wow. Dr. Broughton?
I see us continually evolving as educators, culturally responsive educators, but also ascending to leadership positions, armed with the critical consciousness and the sagacity to make decisions that are empathetic and are based upon qualitative and quantitative data. I see us in decision-making opportunities on boards as U.S. Secretary of Education, and just as servant leaders who are a part of the decision-making. I think that is critical to the evolution of the education system, the evolution and the revolution of the education system. I think the power to make decisions is critical for the
Yeah.
future of Black male educators.
Yeah, definitely, definitely. Because
And I,
we're in this new. I'm sorry. What was that?
no, and I also wanted to highlight that we also need Black male educators to combat hypermasculinity and hypersupervision. Because it's one thing to be in leadership positions, but if the preschool pipeline to prison still occurs when Black male educators are at the seats to make decisions, that is still going to be problematic. So we need male educators who are going to resist the norms that exist and who are willing to deconstruct the norms.
Wow, that's a part two, right? That's a conversation in itself. Wow. And because so many things are changing, happening, in the world we live in today, it's affecting us as Black male educators. Dr. Broughton, what advice would you give to a male of color wanting to pursue education as a career?
Definitely read the works of critical race theorists, um, culturally relevant pedagogical scholars like Gloria Ladson-Billings, because I believe those works would give voice. Oftentimes, we don't have the words to express our experiences, and I really think those bodies of literature would really support male educators in their self-identity process. Because keep in mind, a lot of us were miseducated. And so
Mhm.
this whole notion of trying to find ourselves, I experienced, especially in the field of early childhood, trying to fit into what I thought was an early childhood teacher.
Right.
So that self-identity piece, and I can tell you, when I found myself, when I developed my grit, my zeal, when I developed my passion, my love for music and art, when I did that and I was my true self and I did not try to be like someone else, that's when the magic happened. And so I really want to employ these men to really, really hone in on who they are and to develop their self, work on their self first, develop that critical consciousness, and understand your why. When you know your why, nothing can stop you. The praxis test can't stop you. You're not easily persuaded to go elsewhere. People will say, educators don't make any money. But do you want to make an impact on the future? Do you want to touch the future? Do you want to cultivate the future leaders of society? Yes, be an educator. But it begins with you developing yourself and unlearning what you've learned. We have this idea of what educators are.
Yeah.
And we need to eradicate that. It's what you make it. Be inspired by who you see, but be yourself.
Be yourself. I love that. Dr. Anderson?
Broughton pretty much encapsulated all of that. The only thing I would add is I would implore guys to go and volunteer in a school, actually work with children and see if it's something for you. What I often find is that there are guys that come in and say, I definitely want to be an educator. And then that first year we take them to a school, put them in front of kids, and they're like, nope, this is not for me. And so make sure that this is something that is your calling, that you want to do. So if there's a teacher cadet in your high school, join that. If there's a way that you can go and work with young kids while you're in high school, do that. Have those opportunities where you are in leadership, whether you are on a basketball team, whether you're in chorus, band, even drama club. Go ahead and aspire to those leadership positions, because teachers are leaders. And there's no such thing as a shy teacher. Shy teachers don't exist. I don't get that concept of you being a shy teacher. Teachers have to take command of the room, and they have to be leaders. And so these are critical skills that you need. And what we don't need is more people in the profession that really don't want to teach. That's just, well, I majored in this and I'm just going to follow it through. No, make
Right.
sure that this is a calling, make sure that this is a passion. So go ahead and test it out now while you're in high school.
Yeah, I love that. I love all of this. It's so important, especially in this day and age, to get down to the nitty gritty of it and have a conversation about it. Besides education, you all have other platforms as well, programs, books. So, Dr. Anderson, how can they find you on social media and your products?
Absolutely. So I am on Twitter and Instagram and LinkedIn. My Twitter and Instagram is Jazz Anderson 174. I have a link tree which have the links to both my books, What's Up with All the Black Boys in the Principal's Office, and my latest book, Doing Something About It, A Guide to Building a Mentoring Program. They are available on Barnes and Noble and also on Amazon.
I love it. Dr. Broughton.
You can follow me on Facebook at Mr. Dr. B. That's MISTR Dr. B. Mr. _B PhD on Instagram, and my website www.mrbinspires.com, and that's MISTR, paying homage to Call Me Mr.
I love this. Ladies and gentlemen, you just heard from the experts themselves, Dr. Anderson and Dr. Broughton. Thank you so much for your wisdom, your experience, and truly your passion shows in what you love to do. Thank you so much for being on.
Next, we have the turnaround principal himself. Dr. Mills is with us. We'll be right back.
I'm just not college material. I am tired of school. I'm just not sure what I want to do after graduation. Sound familiar? Welcome to the Prelo Educational Institute. Our focus is to help young people prepare for life after high school. It's never too early to start planting the seed for education, career, and life overall. The Prelo Educational Institute is made up of the following two products. The first product is the book titled I Ain't Going to College, A Guide for Life After High School. This is the first book of a series that introduces middle and high school students to a young man struggling to find his way and make the decision about whether attending college is the right choice for him or not. The book has questions inside, and a supplemental curriculum can also be purchased. The newest product from the Prelo Educational Institute is our online course titled Preparing for Life After High School. In this course, students will learn about decision-making, self-confidence, accountability, self-awareness, and many other topics that speak to social-emotional learning. Young people will read a story about a young man who never gave up no matter what the circumstances were. The course is interactive and has questions, quizzes, and video. Do not wait until your child or student is a senior in high school to start planning. Enroll today. To enroll and learn more, please visit www.speakerauthormarlowe.com.
Need a little motivation?
Timothy Clifton is with us every week on Mondays to get your week started with a little motivation, all here on The Michael Finkley Show.
Show. Now, you all know that I am a big advocate for education with my consulting firm and also 10 years in the field of secondary and higher education. So I had to bring this next guest on. He is a fellow first-gen scholar, educator, the turnaround principal himself, Dr. Gemar Mills. Thank you so much for being with us today.
Man, thank you for having me. I mean, I always appreciate fellow educators just, connecting and building and giving each other a platform to, share our expertise.
Definitely. And so it started off for you in Paterson, New Jersey, in the projects. You living there with your mom. And so did you have any educational influences during this time?
As far as no, I would say that the short answer is no. I would say majority of the people I was coming up with was really looking forward to some get rich quick schemes, things that would kind of catapult them out of poverty. I would say that it was my mother, not because she was like heavily educated actually having me at the age of 16. She had to drop out of school herself, but she was hell-bent on the fact that education was the passport to the future, right? Like really believe that if we got this piece right, that everything else would be all right. And I think it was that gave her tenacity, really instilled something in me about the importance of it. And so I took it really serious. That and two, she was just what's the right word? She was aggressive and letting me know that this was important to her.
I got you.
Yeah.
No, I get you. I had one of those too. Still have one. Major influence. I always said career instead of job. Always pushing us to that direction, my sisters and I. So I get what you're saying. So as time goes on, football took you to college. And so in college, did you know that you actually wanted to go in education? You majored in mathematics.
Yeah, so no, right? I didn't have a interest in the profession. I would say some of my most impactful mentors were through athletics, and they were teachers also. So my head coach was a gym teacher, my defensive line coach, offensive line coach, linebacker coach, all teachers. And so they would, encourage me to join the field, and I just wasn't satisfied with it. I didn't think that it was something that would be fulfilling. And at the time, fulfillment, of course, had monetary attachments to it. It didn't necessarily have the fulfillment you get from helping others do better. And so I started off majoring in computer science and realized that I am extremely poor because I couldn't afford to purchase a laptop. So being a computer science major, not having the dollars to actually have an in-home device outside of the computer lab, it didn't work well. So I shifted to mathematics. And I'll tell you, in my third semester, so sophomore year, first semester, the fall semester, after completing it, I had enough credits to start substituting in New Jersey. And so, yeah, so I'm 19, I'm green, I'm in here with this is when like throwback jerseys were really popular. I'm somebody's substitute with a throwback jersey on and huge jeans.
I was like, this guy's gonna be dope today. I know you walking in.
That's what the kids said. My coaches are like, boy, if you don't get your behind home and put on a button-up shirt, I'm like, I don't have one, coach. So they purchased me one, and that really started my connection. I really began to see the influence I had with younger people closer in age to me. I experienced it as a captain of the football team. I would say that was my first experience of leadership. But it was like in that first kind of semester where I was like, this might not be that bad. This really might not be that bad. So that in itself was what kind of began to transition me to the education world.
Gotcha. Awesome exposure too, especially at a young age for a Black male to be in college for that type of exposure. And so you graduate from college and you move on into the classroom, your very young classroom. Describe that moment. You stepped in and you see all these young minds that you can pour into.
Wow. See, that's a good question, because I don't know that I've ever answered this question for anybody because no one ever asked it. But I was nervous, right? I wasn't certain that I needed to be the angry, Black guy that, demanded respect because I had some muscles and things like that, or I needed to be myself. Right. And being myself, I'm a very laid back, cool, calm guy that it functions with fair. I'm a very fair person. So, you're doing wrong, you have consequences. You're doing right, you get celebrated. And so I thought about that. I sat on it for about a week, and I did decide that, what, I have to be me. This isn't about anything else. These young people need to know that I am the person I am, and they have to respect that. And I remember my first lesson using an app called Fruity Loop Studios. So it's something I used to make beats. So I was exploring that at a younger age, and I knew that it had mathematic context. And so it was my hook to bring students into even entrepreneurship and how they can enjoy doing something. I went through the beat patterns, explained to them how math went along with it. and that got him. And then from there, it was just like, I just kept it real. Like, I would do things like, I have a cell phone. I don't need your cell phone. But if your cell phone is affecting our work, I'm going to take it and you can have it back. But that's just what we're going to have to do.
Right.
And I think that they gravitated towards the realness and the respect. I always gave them a ton of respect. So I remember that being my first experience. It's just like first year, having a good time with what I planned, and then realizing it's okay to be me. You don't need any antics. Just be yourself, and they'll respect that.
Yes, yes, especially, in the location where you were, persons that can relate to you, that look like you. When I was in 8th grade, I had my first Black male teacher, and that's when I knew I wanted to be in education.
See?
So having that representation is very important. So as time goes on, at the age of 25, you are the math chair, and then in 27, you move on to administration. How was that transition from you from classroom to administration?
So it was fun to say the least, because I wasn't in a traditional situation. Being a math chairperson at the worst school in New Jersey isn't something that it's like baptism by fire. So the principal is trying to just educate me, and I'm really learning about policies, something that I didn't really leverage inside of a classroom. It was all about rules. But being a chairperson, you're working with other adults, and now it's about how policy functions, because there's other implications. So that principal actually was transferred out my first year.
Mm-hmm.
Then they brought a second one in, and that principal was transferred, and then a third, and that exactly, and then that principal was she actually resigned, and in her resignation, my transition began to occur.
Right.
And not because I was pursuing it. I actually thought I was perfectly fine doing what I was doing, and having success, and I could wait my turn. I was young enough to do that and get a school that would essentially be better prepared for me than a school that needed me to be better prepared for it. Right. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Right.
Yes,
And
yes.
so I kind of just stayed in the background, did my thing, and the students and the teachers and the alumni were really adamant about me being the person that could turn around the school. And I said, nah, I'm okay. I think I'm fine with what I'm doing. But I recall being in a senior orientation, and no principal had been identified. And I'm running the program, and they ask, who's our principal? And I'm like, I don't know, but as soon as they get on board, I'll be 100% on board to help them. So y'all better be ready to get it together. And they say, like, why you can't be our principal? And I said, I have no intentions on being your principal, because I'm not going to tolerate y'all nonsense.
Right.
And a young person stood up and said, that's what we need. And it was mind blowing. And then I was like,
that's a game changer.
Yeah, if they believe in me and I don't, like, that's a problem.
Yeah.
And after that, I said yes to the alumni. I applied for the job, and in the late stages of August, I would say school was beginning for teachers to come in on September 3rd. It's about 28 vacancies, and they gave me the job. I was hired officially on about like August 28th.
Amazing. That is amazing. Oh wow. Yeah. I feel like I'm having a Mr. Clark moment here.
It was scary, but it was exciting. So right,
I get you. And so as time goes on, you gain the title of the turnaround principal. How did this happen for you, Dr. Mills?
Yeah, so that's unique too, right? Like, we were just doing the work, man. That's it. I was really heavy on a mantra of us. We must protect this house, and the mascot of the school is a bulldog, right? And so that concept of a dog in his house, right? Like, that became our mantra. We must protect this house, and I really, permeated that through the students, through the staff, and anyone kind of coming into the building, understanding that anything you do outside of here affects us, and everything that we do inside of here is going to make us change the perception out there. So we have to, stay focused and do what we have to do. And I mean, it started off as small wins, right? Like not having a fire alarm pulled was a huge win, because the year before there was over 150 of them.
Wow.
Right. And so it's 180 days of school. So if you're outside 150, you can only imagine, what's actually occurring in terms of education. So that small win. And then just like the hallways being clear, right? Like establishing a disciplined team to only focus on students being inside of classes was huge, right? And then establishing an academic team to focus on making the experience for students inside of classrooms better. And then establishing a socio-emotional learning team connected with our counselors as well as our scheduling vice principal to ensure that students were on track to graduate and they were getting the interventions that they need. And that was the structure. In 180 days, we doubled the literacy scores from 33% to 63% when the results came out. Yeah. Yep. And then the math was at about 17%. It went up to about 23% in one school year. And yeah, Mike, after that is when all the cameras start rolling.
Yeah.
Every news camera in America was like, what's going on in here? And then we were a very popular school for sports. The football team had a lot of success. NewJersey.com decided to do a documentary on us. And so the documentary won an Emmy, right? And so that led to like CBS and Sports Illustrated, and it's just all this random stuff was happening. I was just a kid, like trying to figure this out. It's just happening. And before you knew it, my alma mater reached out. And Montclair State University was like, you know what? We just want to like come check it out. You're an alum. We hear all the great things. We see it. And they ran a story. Well, the woman completed the story, and then she called me a few weeks before it was released, the magazine. And when a university does the release of their magazines, they do billboards, they do bus ads, they send a magazine to everybody that's ever been at the school. So it goes, and I didn't know. I was just again doing the story. And she was like, I just wanted to let you know, you're going to be the cover story. You're going on the cover of the magazine. So before you knew it, I was on every billboard and every bus and all types of craziness. And people were posting the book online, and the name of the magazine for that issue was The Turnaround Principle. And it stuck. And it's been that ever since. So it seems like anytime I'm a place or I am referred to in kind of like education, it's like he is the guy that can turn around something fast and it's sustainable.
What does that method look like? A lot of people see you're the turnaround principal. Is there a strategy that you use? Is there a method? Is this a one-way thing too? What does that look like?
No, I'm glad you asked. So for me, what it became is these 5 levers of change. And I use the term lever because lever essentially, when shifted, affects a lot of other things. And so those 5 things, for the 5 letters would be first, mindset, right? We want to make sure that the staff and the students are of the right mind, and there's ways to go about getting them to do that. The book speaks to that. And also I'll be doing some sessions to come for, anyone who's interested in like learning more about what I mean by it. They can join the courses. That should be in a week or so. I'll be doing that. You'll see it on social media. The next thing is systems, man. That concept of academics do academic things, and social emotional learning kind of disciplinarians do their thing, and they don't cross paths. Really allow a depth of focus instead of like covering a wide amount of things. The next thing is the curriculum, right? Where are the gaps? Is it aligned to what the state is actually asking us to do? And a lot of times you purchase curriculum, but haven't done the work to say, well, the most important standards, the major standards, are showing up in April. The test is in March. Well, this doesn't make any sense. So why don't exactly? So you have to do that gap analysis test, see what's missing in those curriculums. We even took on algebra-based physics, which was a play on it was a play on Algebra 1 to increase the amount of time students had in the subject without boring them by extending it for 3 hours, right? It's like, so when you bring the physics in, you can really begin to see how algebra plays out in the real world, right? And so that was really helpful for the kids. The last thing was professional development. A lot of times people, what I answered the fourth thing, I'm sorry, is professional development, because a lot of times teachers come into the field with the theory, but now it's the theory and practice at the job, and we don't take care of them. We're not intentional about the way they're looking at data that they're receiving from students. We're not intentional about, when we say engagement, engage the students. We don't tell them, we don't name the strategy, right? And so we did book studies. One of the most popular book studies was Teach Like a Champion, which came out of the North Star wheelhouse. And that was very clear about how you engage a student and what these things mean when you're doing it. That was helpful. And then the last piece, which you could never forget, is you got to inspect what you expect. And so we did a lot of checking on it. And so by having these like silos of teams, imagine having, 4 administrators only responsible for academics. And we had a cycle. You walk through your teachers' classrooms on a Monday, and you feedback conference them on a Tuesday. And that cycle was to rotate. They would submit those walkthroughs each day to my data analyst. And I'm sorry, not each day, at the end of 2-week cycles to my data analyst. And then we would review that every Wednesday. I needed to know what was going on. And my discipline team, that was every Tuesday. And so I really just established a week where we can really keep our finger on the pulse of, is the numbers rising for what we believe is going to get us to academic success? And it worked. So that was just, yeah, I was like, oh yeah, okay, good, thank God.
It worked. Y'all just heard the method for success, y'all, in working with your students. That is amazing. That's amazing. And I must ask, what are you working on now? What is Dr. Mills working on now?
Yeah, so I just dropped a book. So for anyone seeing this, if you want to hear a bit more about, the stories of what kind of transpired as we went through East Lever, even a story about the turnaround in my life that kind of prepared me for it, I would totally recommend to get the book. If you follow me on social media at Principal Mills, you can just click the shop and do that. And I greatly appreciate it. But what's in the works now? And so I have partnered with Amazon. So this Amazon partnership is going to allow me to offer an online bookstore. And so it's actually going to be called the Turnaround Bookstore. And I'll get to be the librarian for the people. And so I'll be posting all of the books that I've read that prepared me for what I believe brought me to this place. Books that I believe you should read, even children's books. So a lot of times we think about what reading, right? What reading should we give to our children, our young people, our scholars, as they rise and what we think they should know, just be culturally competent, have empathy for others, and even understand kind of like the oppressive ways that they may have been impacted in the Black community and not even aware of it. Like, just things that have happened because government has perpetuated it and supported it. Those books will all be there. It will all be there. And I'll also be providing other stuff. So, people want to know about drop shipping. I'll have something there for them to download as an ebook. Whatever Amazon offers, I pretty much have access to, and that's where I'm gonna focus. So that's the kind of like Gemar Mills, Principal Mills, Dr. Mills brand initiative. But on the flip side, I've never left the schools. I was able to found my own network of charter schools. Myself and my team, yeah, we're up to campus number 7 right now. Yeah, we're working on building a school building. So that's in the works. And even then, we opened in 2017. Newspaper articles came out swinging. They were like, oh, the turnaround principal, 80% of the children failed mathematics. And you know what? That was a true statistic. And I was like, I've had those young people for 8 months. No problem.
Right.
Well, a year later, we went from a tier 1 to tier 3 school to a tier 1 school, which means that we were once at 8%, only better than 8% in the state. We moved to being better than 60% of the schools in the state in one school year. And yeah, the paper didn't report that one. But I did.
That's good stuff.
but I put it out there, right? And to say that, it works is a case study from Shabazz that was successful that I've replicated in the schools in which I founded. And my ultimate goal is to put students on the fast track, maybe even working faster than me, to get into and graduate from the top colleges in our country, because it's necessary.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh, you're my hero.
You.
You're definitely my hero. And hearing your story and hearing your words as another Black male in education, this is it's mind-blowing. And it goes to show that you can start from anywhere, but it's how you end up. You're writing your story and you're doing a great job with it. What advice would you give your former self, that little boy from the projects of Patterson, New Jersey, before the fame, before the doctorate? What would you tell that young man?
If I could tell him anything, I would say that what you see is not what's going to does not determine your outcome, right? That it's going to be okay. Like, have faith, like, identify with that passion and push and go and grow as far as you can take it. Push it to the limit, because passions change, but the progress that you gain from it remains with you. And so that I would say that because, I was really passionate. I was 100% sure that I was going to the NFL. And then I got to college and I was like, I do not want to do this for the rest of my life. Right. And
that's what college is for.
Yeah. So the a young me, definitely, they need to know that it's within them. Yeah. And they don't have to wait for someone else to tell them how it goes.
Yeah.
Right. Like, it's just a place in the world that we are, and it's your responsibility to figure out where you want to be and just keep going. And that's what it was, man. I just kept going.
Yeah.
I had no clue what was happening. It was just like, I'm just gonna keep going. I'm just gonna keep going.
Oh, I love that. Oh, this is some good stuff. So, Dr. Mills, one more time, how can they find you on social media?
Yep. So on social media, all my handles are at Principal Mills. So that's Principal with PAL. Your principal is your pal. So Principal Mills, that's on Twitter, that's on Instagram. On Facebook, I think it's just Gemar Mills, but I'm most active on Instagram. So yeah, I would love to interact with people. I mean, Michael, I like, you DM me, here we are.
Here we are.
Yeah, because I mean, that's ultimately what I want to be. I'm an educator, I'm not a celebrity, right? So I want to be able to connect with the folks that's doing the work for real. And I want to be able to give them opportunities, right? So if I'm creating schools and things like that, then I want to be able to put other Black educators or minority educators, or any educator for that matter, but in position, right, to just do what I did 100 times better.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that. I love that. Thank you so much, Mr. Mills, Dr. Mills, excuse me, for being with us today. Your information is in the description below. Continue to do what you're doing because again, truly, you are making a difference in the world of education, in the world of this school we call life. So thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Calling all TRIO, Gear Up, JAG, and other college readiness organizations. Hello everybody, it's Finkley with the Finkley Experience. I am here to offer you information about our college readiness cohort series.
This college readiness series includes college applications, SAT, ACT prep, scholarships, financial aid, the mental mind state, HBCU versus PWI versus technical colleges, and so much more.
You know, this is helpful because it's actually like making me change my college plan.
Really?
If interested, visit our website, thefinkleyexperience.com, or just email us at michael@thefinkleyexperience.com. We're looking forward to working with you. Welcome back. So you know what today is? Today is Wednesday, so another segment of Kids That Rock. And y'all, this kid, this child, this princess is near and dear to my heart. She's none other than my niece, Sinai Drew Broughton.
We are celebrating my niece, Sinai Drew Broughton. Sinai is very smart and loves to learn. She is always open to new experiences and things. She is caring and willing to help others if she can. She has a can-do spirit and she encourages others to keep trying also. She loves others and is not afraid to show it. Sinai, you rock. Celebrating gospel music on The Michael Finkley Show. We have Marcus G. Morton. And we also have Lanasia Tyson with us.
Next Finkley.
Monday.
Hello everybody, welcome back. So I hope that you got something from this. I am rejuvenated. Oh my gosh. I just love chatting with other educators, but especially black males, because we have that relatable factor, right? It's not that many of us in education, so we have to look out for one another. Thank you so much, Dr. Anderson, Dr. Mills, and Dr. Broughton for being on today. We really appreciate you and all that you do for the field of education. Continue on, continue on. You have persons looking up to you, so continue on in your own right. Thank you so much. Sinai, my niece, Uncle loves you. We'll see you soon, okay? We'll see you soon. Uncle loves you. You still rock, girl. Oh, I love it. So the next Michael Finkley, we have Coach Eddie, and we also have Alan Caminero with us, and they have incredible stories. It's Incredible Story Fridays, so these persons have incredible stories, and again, to be encouraged by. All right, so you must join us on Fridays. Finkley. If you haven't already, please subscribe to our YouTube channel on The Michael Finkley Show. Ring that bell for notification. We'll see an email saying, hey, new content's uploaded. Please don't forget to listen to us on Spotify and on Apple Podcasts. And not forget, on that Roku TV, we're on the Greater Works Network as well. If you'd love to be a guest on The Michael Finkley Show, please email us at michael@thefinkleyexperience.com. And please, again, visit our website at themichaelfinkleyshow.com. Guess what? Y'all have a good rest of the day, but we'll see you on Friday. Have a good one.